I look at the political lineage of the Democratic Party over the last 50 years of my lifetime, since I was 5 and I'm 55, and very little has changed in my community, or just 2 blocks over from where I am right now, then I have some questions. I got more than questions. Now I have evidence. I have empirical evidence that something is wrong.
That was former Grey's Anatomy star Isaiah Washington opening up about why he left the Democrat Party after visiting President Trump at the White House earlier this year. He's since come out as a Trump supporter, and he recently tweeted his message to fellow actors, saying, "I have a message for Hollywood actors DMing me and revealing me that you're conservatives. Don't DM me again because you all are lame and I don't respond well to hypocrites or cowards. You're no different than the bystander that is waiting on the blood to spill from a martyr." Joining me now exclusively is Isaiah Washington, host of the podcast Isaiah Washington Speaks Again. He's also the author of the book, A Man from Another Land. And he helped create the new PAC, Legacy Republicans. Isaiah, thanks for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So all these years later, you finally decided to come home to the Republican Party. Now, why'd you leave the Democrat Party? Explain it.
Well, you know, I would be remiss, before we get into the weeds on that, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that I don't watch much television. I'm an avid, arduous researcher, and since I have been put on the national conversation, I think I've been pretty much more in the midst of multiple ironies. I'm not the kind of person that's really fond of being categorized. For example, the irony that I got to Washington, D.C. on a Sunday. Nipsey Hussle was being murdered. And the irony is that I made a tweet on the 1st, April 1st. And then on April 2nd, Fox News decided to cherry pick one of my tweets that implied that I was slamming 44 and supporting 45. Let me just make it perfectly clear. All right? I am not one to be categorized. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I am a huge supporter of many people, over 60,000. That are Trump supporters. And what I mean by that, in the very fabric of my DNA, I have naturally been a protector and a liberator. Yeah. I love this country. I'm a patriot. I'm a former military. So I will say this. I supported the First Step Act. I supported 45. Awesome. And that's why we're here.
Isaiah, I have a question for you, because I spend quite a bit of time. I know a bunch of pretty big, big folks in Hollywood, and most of them are liberals, but they're actually pretty nice. They're always nice to me, and they don't like to even know that anyone to know that they know me, I'm sure. But why is it that Hollywood, which prides itself on being so diverse, is so closed off to people who disagree on policy or who vote a different way? Isn't that part of the diversity that everyone should embrace?
Well, I just turned 55 again this year.
Oh, good.
On August 3rd. So I've lived through 11 presidents, and one I didn't quite remember. The only reason I knew who he was is because my grandmother had a velour towel or blanket on the wall that had Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy and JFK. So I knew there was a lot of love and respect for that particular president. And as I grew older, I realized that he was assassinated by what appeared to be our own government. As growing up through that, I seen a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with. But when I was in the military during the Reagan years, I made myself very, very vulnerable and risked my life for the Constitution. And I still feel that way. I'm still cut from that cloth. I am a person that is very mission oriented. I've been strategizing to get to Spike Lee, to get my career. I did it after I saw She's Gotta Have It in 1986.
Oh, it was a hilarious movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. Yeah. Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Yeah. And what I learned out of that is that people are just people. Human beings are human beings. And what I learned in the 30 years of this business, people tend to abuse their power. And what I learned also, the people, usually liberals or anywhere, be in the private sector, military, and now Hollywood, hurt people. It doesn't matter. If you were a jerk before you made millions and millions of dollars, you're going to be a jerk once you become successful.
But Isaiah, you were one of the biggest television stars and one of the biggest
Who says I'm not? Who,
Yeah,
who says I'm not anymore?
Yeah,
I've been. Wait. I know you have a habit of cutting people off, so I want to be prepared. No, I've been on the 100. I've been on the 100 for Netflix for the last 5 years. I'm not a former Grey's Anatomy. I went back, ticked up 13%, made so much money that everybody got paid extra salaries when I went back. So let's not talk about former Grey's Anatomy. Let's talk about former The 100, which is trending on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm a part of that. We have to deal in the now.
But not everybody watches Netflix. Hate to tell you, not everybody watches. But it's like
not everybody watches Fox News either. Because I certainly don't.
An iconic television show, and the showrunner Shonda Rhimes, one of the most brilliant, television producers, writers. But she actually went to my alma mater. She's a big Democrat, and you were kind of a Democrat then as well, right? So did you have a political mind meld when you worked on that show, or was politics never even brought up?
I'll say this: I've been political since the day I was born. Any African American man born black in America is political. Yeah. Particularly if you live over 50. So that just makes me political by the very nature of me just still being here to survive. The other part of that question is, I never talked politics. Shonda and I, we never talked politics on that show. It was just so difficult just to get the diversity. Remember, there was no Barack Obama before my character. I was the first dark-skinned African American that just really went into American homes. As a matter of fact, I had to bring an actual heart surgeon who was African American to the set because no one believed that there was any black surgeons in America. So that was a long time ago, but long time ago.
Isaiah, like earlier you said that the U.S. government assassinated MLK and JFK. I guess we can talk about that more, but is that's what you believe in your heart of hearts? That's where you
Excuse
are on
me?
that? Did you say the government?
Is that what
Is that what you said? The government assassinated two of our most historic figures?
This is not. You got to be kidding. This is not conspiracy theory. This is fact. Everyone knows this.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
the documents be released.
We got to go, Isaiah.
This is what got you in trouble with Nipsey Hussle.
No. That was an interview. We got to go, Isaiah. That's cool, but we appreciate your joining us and appreciate the fact that you took time tonight. Up next.